Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, or whatever you might think you are. This is a little bit different. Well, it's a way different. This is a tutorial. I'm not sure what to title it yet because I haven't got all the parts together. And we are going to do a from ground up, from the tripod all the way up, with the William Optics GT71. And this is an amazing machine. And I was just fascinated with it. It features my longtime friend and neighbor, Jeremy McCormick. This was cut back in fall of 21. The weather was nice. It was nice and cool. We didn't have to worry about mosquitoes or bugs. And I was just fascinated. I mean, here we are out in Jeremy's backyard, and he's got what I call a backyard Hubble, and we're floating around in the universe several light years away. And then you have all these scoffers that don't know anything about these new. They're still using celestions and different telescopes, and those things are so far obsolete it ain't funny. But this is a small unit that he can take nebula, planets, moon, everything. He can whatever he wants to see. He has to set up for it. And I'm fascinated, and that's why I'm doing this, because there was nothing online back in 21 or even today on a tutorial of how to set these machines up and how to use them in different ways. And you're going to see Jeremy's genius with this. I mean, he's so familiar with these instruments. And I was just blown away. I still am blown away. And after you see this, you're going to be blown away too, because it does feature some of the footage that I've used before, and there's going to be more too. So let's jump in, and we're going to start, I guess, ground up. And some of it repeats, but it repeats in different different light settings and with different things going on. And there's a lot to this. And I hope that other people can appreciate the William Optics GT71. Sounds like a sports car, doesn't it? Hey man, I got a GT71. Well, it is. It's called Gran Turismo 71. So go figure. And she's a beauty. She's a beauty. And just like that cat right there. That cat right there is a beauty too. So anyway, let's get with it. And I'm fascinated. I'm just fascinated, and it's not meant for everybody. This is not meant for everybody. If you are not into astrophotography and the mechanisms that make all that work, then this is not going to be something that you're going to enjoy. Just pass off and go to something else. It ain't going to matter. But if you're wanting to see some genius and float around in the universe, right from Jeremy's backyard. Enjoy. Okay, we're coming up on our new location here, and we are going to align. We're going to align
what's called a polar alignment, and North Star is going to be right up there. And this will give us just enough to get that alignment accomplished.
Okay, so we got to wait on Polaris. And it's going to be right up there.
And the reason being is because the North Star Polaris, it basically stays stationary while the world turns, and you can take a picture, a long exposure picture, and get star trailings, but that star is going to stay there.
So we might can do that later.
Sure.
Actually do that.
We could do that.
And that would be an exposure though. That would you shoot something like that from right here?
Yeah, we could do that.
And how long would it take for that exposure to manifest?
We could practice around with it, but I think a complete exposure would be with the moon that bright.
If the moon was dark.
Yeah.
And no, not tonight. Not tonight.
Maybe a few minutes.
For it to go completely around?
Oh yeah. Long star trailing, yeah.
I want to see your dance, man. I want to see how you do that. Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to show you. It's real interesting though.
Okay, how long does it take to polar align your camera?
So if you've got a clear shot and I'm so familiar with space that I pretty much can almost polar align it without seeing the star there. So I'm going to be very close, and so the polar alignment don't take me long, but in the past, learning the sky, I've had it take me up to an hour and a half.
Frustrating.
You're basically pinpointing a needle at the end of a needle, like a Robin Hood bow and arrow. Like, that's how precise you need to be for a really long exposure, and that can be very difficult to achieve.
Okay, and now once it's polar aligned, what major advantages are there to doing the polar alignment? Does that mean your star charts work?
It means that you have no star trailing. So since the world's turning, if you don't use that star tracker to track whatever you're photographing, since everything's always moving, if you don't use it, you get star trailing. So you're just going to get long lights because
a blur, basically a blur.
Because we're moving and it makes it look like the stars are moving in a long trail. Not so much blurry, it's really a pretty picture.
Okay, so streaky.
Streaks,
Okay, so
it would be the same as long exposure of a car driving by with its headlights on.
Okay, so would you have an impression that the Earth would not be flat, would be round as far as that goes? It would this make sense if the Earth was round, like a ball?
Absolutely.
So, you wouldn't say that the Earth is flat because of all your knowledge of astrophysics and photography and stuff. That
correct.
You wouldn't think that.
That's
so
correct. And I don't make fun of people that are thinking outside of the box or saying they say the Earth's flat. You know, they've got a reason for believing the way that they do. When I look at anything, it's a non-biased opinion. When you tell me the Earth is flat, I've learned it to be round. I don't believe what I've heard all my life. I'm going to look at the data myself, come up with my own conclusion, and everything surrounding that, I have found the Earth to be round from my studies, which are very extensive, and we could get into it if you wanted to.
So this evening we're going to look at the moon, and it appears to be round.
Absolutely.
Well, the sky's clearing up, man. Look.
Yeah.
It is just unbelievable. And the wind died down. There's no wind. We got another excellent night.
Really cloudy, and I said no. I
yeah, you said you predicted. You said earlier today it was gray. It was gray overcast.
And I said this cold weather is going to split this right open.
And we got nothing but blue sky.
Yeah, it split it wide open, man. This weather right here, like I can feel it, like almost running through my veins. Like you don't get more perfect than this.
Right.
For deep sky.
No mosquitoes.
Now moonlight is going to give light pollution, but this is still a really strong setup, so
we'll be able to muscle through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, back here with Jeremy McCormick on a beautiful fall afternoon, and Jeremy, why don't you tell me the story of how you really got into all this? Okay. What happened to you out here? I guess right here where we're at.
Yeah, it did. So it was August 6th, 2020, 4 a.m. and my wife, she's a nurse, and we've got a dog, and you got to let her out first thing in the morning so she don't pee in the floor. So her alarm goes off, and if you go back to that date, August 6, 2020, that night, it was a crystal clear night, and so I come out and to let the dog out, got up when her alarm went off, and I heard this humming, buzzing, like numbing sound that it just sounded like high voltage to me. And working in a big factory, you're familiar with that. So I come out and I let the dog out. She runs right out, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. I've got that big RV over there, it's powered up. Got that hot tub, all that stuff. This is sounding more like a transformer to me. So I step out on the porch and I'm looking around trying to identify what I'm hearing, but it don't seem like it's coming from a component. It's not coming from the RV. It's not coming from the house.
You thought you had a problem somewhere.
I thought I had a problem somewhere, but at the same time, I'm thinking, this is too intense. Like, what the hell is it? I look up in the sky because it sounds like it's above me. And I look up and I don't see anything. So there's a transformer kind of down the road that runs to our house. And I go to look at it. Maybe it's getting ready to blow up or something. This is loud. And it started to get so intense. Like, my hairs was standing up. Like, what the hell is it? So I come out and I got by the well and I'm looking at that transformer. Everything looks good there. And I turn around and I start to look. I turn towards the well there.
Yeah.
And so I'm facing south, and up there in those trees, like right in front of that tree right there, probably about 15 foot up in there, I start to see red illumination, like reddish black, if that makes sense. And it was kind of wavy and it looked almost like mercury.
Okay, Jeremy, are these the trees you're talking about?
Yeah.
Right here. And was it on this side of the trees? Or
Yeah,
was it in the
on
trees?
this side of the trees.
So right in the sky, right here?
Yeah, it would have been, no, it would have been right there above the porch. See the kitchen window there on the house?
Yeah.
It would have been right above that kitchen window.
Okay, right here.
Right on the edge of the porch, between that bush and that back porch there.
Right over here.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep. Uh-huh. Exactly.
Okay, and that's where you were standing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it just showed the trees. And what happened? You saw, what did you see in the trees?
So it wasn't in the trees. It was right kind of in front and below the branches.
Okay.
Now, to back up a bit and explain this, I've done a lot of research which led me to understand exactly what I've seen, because I'm in process engineering and understanding systems start to finish, finish to start. So I'm naturally observing this thing and trying to figure out what it is. And so it's translucent, kinda, but it's red and wavy like an ocean, but it looks like mercury, almost metallic.
How big was it?
It started out, I mean, maybe that big around, the size of a basketball, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And it was basically a hole with like a watery mercury that was red and like black to it. And it was faint though, but you could see the color, and it was expanding and contracting. But it had like a biological wall around it, or it was almost like a cell. Very hard to explain just because it was so strange. But anyway, it kept expanding.
So it was going in and out. This red watery kind of looking thing in a light was just kind of cloudy-ish.
And at the same time, this high voltage sound, it's accelerating.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't like that. It was like a buzzing. If you've ever been like by a light pole and hear that,
the buzzing. Okay.
That's the sound you're hearing, but times a million. It's that loud. And as this thing was doing this, it was getting bigger each time.
Oh man, okay.
Okay. It got to about the size of about 6 foot, and the bigger it got, it started to turn translucent, and there was like anybody familiar with guitar or anything, like this harmonic sound I've never heard.
Okay.
And it seemed to stabilize, and interesting enough, the high voltage sound completely disappeared, and there was just like this humming harmonic as if you was to take like a tuning fork and it just sat there and kind of hum.
Okay.
There wasn't a craft. I've learned that what I was seeing was a portal. And as this frequency started to really balance out and sound like a stable frequency, the colors started to fade away to where you actually could see a ring. And I'm looking, I cannot see the trees going up. Like I could see another space through this portal. I could see other stars that wasn't ours. I could see.
Looking inside this red kind of thing.
Yeah.
So how far away from you was it?
At this time, it was pretty clear in the center.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, were you 6 feet away from it? 3 feet? 2 feet?
I was right there behind the well on the sidewalk facing south. It come out right in front of them trees, so I mean 15 foot away.
15 feet.
About 15 foot, yeah.
Did you feel any heat?
15
Did you feel any heat or something, or any kind of intercerebral communications or anything?
Not at that point.
Okay.
Not at that point. So basically this thing's here and I'm looking at it and I'm just kind of in awe because what I'm seeing is something basically, now I'm looking into this hole, like a black hole, and I'm not seeing the part of the trees like this. This is it. It's like somebody took a picture or something and just set it there and you can't see anything behind it. So all the trees and the branches behind it, you visually couldn't see. And I remember looking at it and looking up at the sky, and I was like, that's space, but it's not our sky. And as I'm trying to investigate what I'm seeing, and like, I'm trying to kind of put it with a natural anomaly of some sort because it's crazy, but I'm really not seeing anything. But I realize that I'm looking into outer space, but it's not our sky, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you know the skies, and you knew the skies before this.
I did,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But this is one reason that keeps you interested, I'm sure. Now,
that's what got me spending all the money on this stuff. Yeah. I didn't even know how to work a camera before this happened.
Okay.
I really didn't.
How long did all of this take place? How long did it take? Are you talking 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes?
It was the whole experience overall, to my knowledge. There was a lot that happened, but I'm going to say within a 10-minute span, all this happened.
Did you feel any lost time at all?
It's complicated. I'm not sure. You know, we've talked about doing the hypnosis thing. Interested in what that would come up with.
Now,
lost time is complicated. Everything was confusing, like when everything happened.
Did your wife see any of this too?
So basically, after everything happened, I was tied up with this thing, and I ran into the house, told her, get up, come on, you got to see this. And by the time she come out here, it was gone. I couldn't put it with the ship. The whole thing was alive, and it was a biological entity is the best to describe it. It was, this is what I'm telling you. In my opinion, 100%, this was of extraterrestrial origin. It was alive, of superior intelligence, and the whole thing was alive in the ship, and the portal, and everything within itself.
And when did that happen?
August 6th, 4 a.m., 2020.
So same day, same. So did the vehicle come in after the red light?
Well, it wasn't a vehicle, but yeah. So portal sitting there, and you didn't see it like pop out around the corner from inside the portal, or it just started to come about like the portal came about. It just started to kind of come together outside of the front of this portal. And as it was doing that, the portal was fading away.
Okay.
And after the portal gone, this thing was left behind. And the best way to explain it would be a neutron star. It looked like a neutron star.
A tiny neutron star.
It had a core, but it was alive. It didn't have eyes and ears like we do. It was alive, and it illuminated its own light.
So did what did it do that made you think that it was alive?
So looking at it, you could tell that it was a living organism, I guess.
Did it give you any thoughts? Did it give you any?
I'm not a doctor. It did. That there was a connection with me that was very complicated.
Okay.
Very complex.
Okay, and that gave you the clue that whatever it was a living consciousness, a living intelligent consciousness.
Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely will let me know that 100%.
Okay.
Was it trying to abduct me? I really don't think so. Did it try to hurt me? No. Like, I don't feel it meant harm. I really don't. But at the same time, there was a point that it got a little wild, and that's when we kind of separated, and it went straight up, come up over by this tree, went up and headed straight west. But it got so bright, like the brightest white you ever seen, and you had the leaves in the trees, and the ground fluttered like an eclipse. You could just see the shadow of the leaves flutter across the ground. And as it was headed west above the trees was when I ran to pull her out here, to get her out here, because I wanted her to see it.
Had you ever had any close encounters before you moved out here?
No. I always liked the stars and space. Had a little bit of an interest. UFO thing, I believe there's life out there, no problem. I know for a fact there is now, but before then, I understood enough for it to make sense for their life to be out there. I never thought for a million years I would ever experience anything. Never really seen the UFOs, none of that. It just right place, right time, and it was something else. This experience isn't what you've seen on your shows, because when you deal with this real live event of like the first encounter is what I call it, because that's what it was. Something from another area of the universe or wherever it was from. We had communication, and I just didn't understand it.
Thank you.
It's time to take this off and get us a focus. As it starts to get dark, these stars just start popping out.
We've still got those two out, that's about it.
Look here, see how it gives you that perfect focus, just so you don't have to worry about that. We'll get that centered, we'll let that die down, make sure that we're perfect. And it looks like I could possibly come this way a little bit. And you could see every color's perfectly aligned.
Okay. And that's part of the...
And you can see, watch that star disappearing away from the screen. See how it's... Coyotes.
They're right down in that holler right there, aren't they?
Yeah, you could hear that go. It's all that stone. See, it's disappearing.
Yeah.
Out of the screen, and you can see it's not turned on. World's turning. That's what's happening there. So, I know that is basically going down. So I know that I need to take this and move it up. And I want to get it about centered and a little bit above out of screen, because the weight is so heavy. I know this is going to drop down
a little bit, yeah.
And you get used to it. And so now we've got this object here that's fully in focus. And we're going to let it die down. We're just going to take a look at it. One thing I know I don't have to do is focus it.
It's getting dark. We're almost ready to do the polar alignment process. And to do that, he's going to use this one here to manually focus it in. And we were talking about, well, yeah, you can get an automatic one, but it costs maybe $1,000 more. And
well,
he can...
Yeah, I could spend probably $1,000 and not even still be able to polar align it, you know. I'd still have to hook it up to a computer and all that, which is what those are for. And, you know, it's something I may do in the future, but for now, I like the great outdoors and manually finding this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I'm at with it.
Okay, now we're looking at Jupiter, real time, and we can see actually 3 moons on the right and 1 on the left.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't see that last night.
No, last night we only seen 3, and the reason being is the one that you see that's closest to the right was behind it last night, because it's rotating. So that's why it was not visible last night, which is really cool to be able to get the photo of each different night, and you can see
where the moons are at.
So that's how you identify whenever the moon passes in front of it. So if you're looking at a star and you see a shadow come in front of it, it loses illumination. You know there's something rotating it. Well, if it's not putting off light on your side, maybe it's putting light off on the other side. So that tells me more than likely, if I'm just seeing a shade, I'm seeing a planet rotate a star.
Okay.
Which would
it's
be
fixing to go out of our range there.
I can actually, I can chase it a little bit.
Now, did you have to refocus, or did you need to refocus?
No, pretty much I just focused on Saturn, and I was able to move it over. It might be able to take a slight focus, but there's enough there that we can see what's going on there.
Let's see, last night we went from Venus.
I can actually zoom that in.
Oh, cool. Cool, that's cool.
Bigger there, and we could come down a little bit.
Oh, big time. Okay, now we're looking at Jupiter again, and you can pull it down here, and that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
And we can take some of that light away to get a better view of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm going to say that's going to get us about where we need to be. Drop that down. Let's move it over a little.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
And that's super cool. It just really is.
Real-time Jupiter.
Yeah.
And what, 4 of its moons.
Yep. Planetary scope is in the future, which will get much better quality of this.
Okay, I'm going to put the camera up here to the east. Look who's coming up. Look who's coming up. Okay, this is the moon in focus. The shaking is my hand. And what we were noticing is there's a crater to the upper left-hand side. You want to blow it up some?
Yeah, we'll go up there.
And let's see if we can see that. I don't think we can see it. We've got footage of it. But it seems like it appears as though it's got something down in it. Okay, now let's scroll up and show your lights that you found that are really bright. They're like the brightest thing on the moon.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Why is that brighter than everything else?
Oh no, I'm not sure what it is.
Okay, now let's come on down towards the on the left-hand side, and show there appears to be a ridge that I had never noticed before. Right there. That's that. And there's a crater right next to it, And that appears to be one of those volcanic type. I mean, how's a meteor going to hit there and then just spread out everywhere like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could. The camera comes back here. I can't get close enough to the thing there. Okay, now
we got another big one down here that is interesting.
it's just perfectly round.
And look how deep those valleys are that run to that crater. Look at the depth in that valley.
My camera's burning on it. Okay, well, we're looking at the man in the moon, kind of, and you can see that crater. We can see it on here.
Yeah.
A little bit over here in the far left-hand corner up there, there's a crater that appears like it's got something down in it, that's sticking straight up.
Yeah.
And we got some better footage of it. And right now we're going to scroll down and look at something else here. It's very interesting. And you see these big white spots here. These are the brightest things on the moon. We wonder what they are. Is it some real shiny sand or something?
Oh no.
Or a mining operation, a pit mining? What? And then I'll scroll down. Well, that's got one of those crater-like deals in the middle of it. How in the world does a meteor hit?
Yeah. It looks almost like trails running in and out of it, like.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like. And then there's another one, so go over here to a big one to see a bigger idea of what we're looking at, and you can see those valleys are just gouged into there.
Mm-hmm.
That's deep. I mean, was there water? Was there lava? What happened there? I mean, what really happened there?
Let's see if I can get in. If I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's about as steady as I can hold this, and that's a good shot of it.
Yeah.
That's a good shot of it. What made that happen? That appears to be some type of volcano that I guess it's got to be tall. I don't know what the highest point on the moon is.
I'm not sure either. I don't know a lot about it.
But let's scroll back over to that ridge that you saw. I'd never seen it before.
Okay.
Right there on the left appears to be a ridge. And I'd always thought that was all meteors, but Jeremy seems to think that it's a ridge of like a low mountain range or something, which could be.
There is
looking at it here.
I've got other better pictures where you can really see, and I can tell just from my work, I know that that's elevated right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely elevated land. No doubt about it. And, you know, whether everything on the moon is an ashy dust, which would be my idea, I don't know, but I would kind of picture a heavy ashy dust. And when we go over this way, I can tell that we've got valleys and all those little cracks in that area. I mean, you know, really pretty much it's round, but I mean...
Hey, now, if you would zoom out, let's get the whole moon back in the... let's make it bigger, though. Just make it fill up the screen here. Okay, now, if you were to take the continental United States, it's kind of moving out of our... The continental United States and plaster it across that, Maine would come up to the corner up here on the right, and a little touch of California might be off there, but this, what you're looking at is 2,750 miles or something like that. It's about the size of the continental United States. If you plastered it on there, it would cover it up pretty good. Just give you some idea of how big this is, or how small it is, however your perspective is.
Yeah. It's going that way now.
That's not the same one.
No, it's not.
And no flag. The other one is in front of that one, isn't it?
I think
and
so.
That one just appeared. It just appeared, and they're going the same way.
Yeah.
Looks like they're following each other.
Okay, it's zigzagging.
Yes, I see that. Oh, and it's kind of going, it's kind of perpetuating, going and stopping and going.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get enough. But this camera's not going to pick it up.
It is inconsistent in speed.
Now it's really slowed down, either that or it's going away from us.
It looks like it's going straight up, and it's gone.
Okay, now what are we doing here now?
Okay, so basically I'm not polar aligned, and you've got a few seconds that you can take a picture while the sky's moving that don't affect it so much. So anyway, I'm getting a long exposure of about 6 seconds, and in the screen you're going to see what this is picking up. So I've focused in on a star to make sure we've got a nice crisp focus.
All right, now we're aimed at Polaris. Now what are you going to do next?
So basically, I've got a mask on here that is able to get me a perfect tuning. And if you want to look at the screen here, I'll actually zoom in on it. And you can kind of see how it makes these lines here.
Yeah, that's we saw that last time, and then the lines focus in on themselves.
Yeah, so I need to turn the small knob. See how it's making those lines perfect?
Yeah.
I need
Now,
to move it a little more.
Is there a way to do that remote? No, I guess there is. Well, unless you spend like what, $10,000.
I'm gonna say about 2,000 to 2,500 would get me an auto.
And do that right there remotely.
Yeah. But
okay, so
for 2,500, I think I'll stick with manual. That's where I'm at with. Now, as you can see that star is separated into 3 lights.
yes.
And the center beam is perfectly in between the X. So X marks the spot here. That's what we're going for. And we're there.
All right.
So we are officially 100% focused, without a doubt,
On Polaris.
on Polaris.
Okay, now remember we looked at this earlier in daylight, and would you flip it over, Jeremy?
Yeah.
And that's what that piece is that he put on the end of the scope here to check the refractory and bring it all into focus.
Yeah. What we want is a long exposure of Polaris, because that's going to tell us if the Earth is in fact spinning.
Good deal.
Because if we take a picture that lasts several seconds and the Earth is moving, then the stars are going to trail. They won't stay in one spot.
Well, what if we go for several minutes?
Well, it's going to be the same deal, just brighter. And
okay.
The longer you go, the brighter it gets, and it could white the whole screen out.
Okay. Let's go.
All right.
Okay, now we're focused on both screens.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to start sharing what they know.
Uh-huh. So you can see Polaris there in the camera, and we've got a car coming. We don't want the lights to bleed out, so we're going to wait a second after it passes. I'm going to start a long exposure, which takes several seconds or minutes, and this is going to be a test shot. Now that the cars are gone, we're shooting. On the screen, you can see it's counting in seconds. So basically what we're doing is we're collecting light, as long as we can collect it with a long exposure. And we're going to do a test shot here. And that's going to be an 18-second test shot. So a long exposure, if I take 18 seconds, it takes 18 seconds to process.
Okay.
So a 30-second picture would take a minute before you see it.
Okay.
And then we'll actually see the picture pop up here once it's completed. So basically you've got Polaris there, and the stars are actually... wow. So Earth is actually spinning, and Polaris doesn't move. Okay, look at all these other stars. They're going in a circle. Clearly you can see the trailing there.
Yeah, it's blurred.
And then when you look at Polaris, it hasn't moved an inch. Look at that. Even the closest stars to it, it's almost like a whirlpool. That's a beautiful picture.
That's cute, man. That's real cute.
Wow.
That's cute.
It's just amazing to be able to capture.
I just hate that we have to, we capture it, but it's so crude and barbaric the way we have to film it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the technology's got to come up to us a little bit better.
Yeah. That's really cool.
But none of those can you see. with the naked eye, or probably
Yeah.
with a typical telescope.
And to clarify what we're doing here, basically for the first time, Harry had brought to my attention something to show that the Earth is rotating, and I thought, well, Polaris is in line with Earth rotation, so if I take a long exposure of Polaris centered, then the stars should circle star trail if the Earth is spinning, right? Well, we have proved that because your stars are in fact trailing, which once this is able to be uploaded, they'll be able to see the picture better.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see that our stars are all spinning in a circular motion around Polaris. That verifies that is Polaris, 100%. Polaris don't move, but the rest of them do.
Okay, now we're looking at the screen here.
Yeah. So this is we're going to adjust our ISO. We're going to drop it down. Basically, what we're doing is we're constricting the visibility of this lens to collect less light, because the picture achieved what we was looking for, Polaris to stay still while the other stars were circling around it. But we need about double the time, so I am going to snap a shot, and we are going to just make sure that you don't touch that scope. It'll throw it off.
I think my finger did scrape something, but I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
It just barely scraped it a little bit.
Okay. So we're doing a long exposure here. I'm shooting for hopefully about 12 minutes. I think that's going to give us a real good picture of star trailing around Polaris.
Okay, now we're at 14 minutes on the exposure time, and Jeremy's fixing to hit the button here.
Yeah.
Go ahead and stop it here, like you said you're going to do. And now we're going to be 14 minutes for it to render.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'm going to pause here. Okay, now we're looking at a, what was it, 14-minute exposure?
Yeah, 14. 14 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, 14.5 minute exposure with Polaris in the middle. And what you're going to notice is all these lines here as this proves that the Earth is spinning, because that's part of the flat earther deal, is that this flat piece of Earth that we're on, it does not spin. It has no curvature and it does not spin. Well, right here, and you can say, well, there's absolutely no way to fake this. You cannot do it. It cannot be done. So don't think that we're out here trying to mislead somebody or something. But we do have something else right in here. I don't know what right there.
Yeah.
What do you think that is, Jeremy?
Okay, so from my experience with deep space astrophotography, what we're seeing right there is an airplane passing through, and the reason I say that is I see a dot there, a dot there, and a dot there that does not move with the stars.
Ah.
So what's happening is a plane is going through on a long exposure, and we're seeing the flashing light of the plane, and it's running in a straight line. If it was a satellite, you would just see the straight line. If it was a UFO, you would see staggered lines.
But that's a great, and towards the outside of the frame, you'll notice there's more distance. The lines are much longer.
Yeah.
The lines on the outside are like over twice as long as the ones on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's because the Earth is rotating. And basically, you could see like over here, because Polaris isn't dead center, so it will move a little, but like actually our dead center is right there. So, but yeah, I mean, essentially it shows you that the Earth is spinning, which is why when you take a long exposure, a 14-minute photograph, your stars start to trail because the Earth is spinning. Had that not been the case, then Polaris would also have star trailing, but as you notice,
those don't have any star trailing.
When you get closer to the center, there's no star trailing.
Okay, now, would you move the picture over to the right a little bit?
Sure.
Just kind of put, yeah, we want to see, there's some more of it there.
It's almost like a black hole running into it, which it's not, but I'm just saying it's you kind of run into it there, and so you know that our
you can see where the center of it is.
So our Earth is doing that,
yeah,
which is why the stars are doing that.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks, man. I'm back with my neighbor Jeremy.
Okay.
What's that happened?
Sorry, Harry.
That's
goddamn
okay. That's pretty funny, wasn't it? This is what happens when you crack up a guest that you're interviewing. They laugh, and then they start thinking about stuff, and then it's like getting even more and more funny. It's like, you're turning red on me.
Yeah. Well, I looked up at the camera and I had tears in my eyes. I just couldn't do it. All right, I'm good.
Okay. I'm back here with my neighbor Jeremy, and astrophotographer. And the other night we were doing some shoots, and we have great actors and actresses in our field of view, don't we? They're reliable.
They are.
And he had mentioned something called a cannibal galaxy, and I hadn't heard that. I mean, I'm not a proficient astronomer or whatever. I know a little bit about the night sky, but not much. And I would like for you to explain a little more of what a cannibal galaxy is, and give us a little bit more background on that.
Okay. So, I mean, to kind of start on a low level where people may not have an understanding of space, basically a galaxy is it's a formation of gases, planets, stars, moons, nebulas from exploded stars. It's got a lot of dust in it, and I'll provide you with pictures of what some people talk about your dark matter in the Milky Way. You can see this it's clearly a very dark substance. I'll provide those pictures for the viewers. So, your cannibal galaxy eats other galaxies that are smaller than it or as big, and they're always eating each other. I believe every galaxy is a cannibal galaxy. And to look in the sky and see this happen, basically you've got your galaxy, and this other galaxy is sucking into it and just disintegrating on the outer arms as the core works its way in there.
So, can we look at the night sky now with like equipment like what you've got and actually see supernovas or some of these planets and galaxies and suns and stars colliding with each other? And I mean, I wouldn't want to be too close. I mean, a few 100 million light years is okay for me, you know.
Well, yeah. So to understand it, I mean, really, whenever you see a nebula, that star exploded a long time ago, and yeah, you can get pictures. I get pictures of it, absolutely. I think, so you know I gotta get a planetary scope, but just the other night I was focused on a star that I said, look, that looks like, I think that's planets. And so you want to take several takes to see if it's rotating, you know, if it's orbiting.
And so we were talking also about a cannibal galaxy. You mentioned Andromeda and it's a big galaxy. Is that one of the larger galaxies?
Yeah.
And they're saying that it's coming towards the Milky Way, but your idea is that there's some of it already gracing the edges of each other?
I believe the dust, yeah. I think the dust is we're shaking hands, you know. We're bumping chests with Andromeda. And I think that we're closing in with it. I don't think that it's headed our way, but we're also headed its way. I think if you're running a straight line, we would be doing that.
Coming together.
Yeah.
And so, do you think that as they get closer, it's going to get, that speed will increase?
That's what I think.
So when they say, what, 4.5 billion years that they're, does that mean that just the tails of each are going to collide or start hitting each other?
Yeah, the spiral arms will start to collide.
Boy, just think what people that live here on Earth are going to see at night when that starts happening.
It'll be a beautiful sight.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, it's going to, I don't think it's going to hit Earth too hard, too heavy right off the bat. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting, man, and I appreciate you going through with that.
Yeah.
And we'll look at some more shots here. Okay, I'm out here again with my friend Jeremy, and we are taking some shots of, what is the name of this comet?
I'd have to look at it
And
again.
we've got his rig set up on it. I'm going to just raise that a little bit. And he's taking pictures of it now. This is the William Optics up here.
GT71.
GT71. And I wish I could show you some of the pictures he's got there. Oh man, that's a nice shot there, buddy.
So that there, I've got it where I want it. And now I'm just working on trying to get a good picture of it.
So he's just now started his resolution. Actually, he's just homing it in. There's almost enough moonlight out here to,
And that's what I've got to do, adjust it to the light.
the distortions you're getting from the moon or the interference?
So, pretty much what's coming from the moon is primarily what the issue is. So, I mean, I'm dropping the ISO down, which is, if you picture an eye and the pupil closing, if your ISO is all the way up,
Yeah.
it allows all the light to come in and come in fast. So you're going to get an overexposed photo. At night, when you're taking a picture of a bright object or a faint object, you want a really low ISO. If the moon's not out, 1600 to 3200 on an average light pollution. So that's what I'm trying to do here is find where this picture comes out perfect. And now my stars, they don't have any trailing. And I know I could start taking pictures of this thing and just rocking them out. So I'm gonna let that thing.
How long of an exposure are you using right now?
So this here, I'm gonna do my first one at 30 seconds.
Oh boy!
If it looks good, then I'm gonna continue to take several with that.
I want to get that shot of that right there.
Now, basically what's going on is with the long exposure, what you're doing is it's collecting light, very faint light, and it's collecting it really slow, and you're wanting to collect all that data. 30 seconds. And
nice to render it.
You get a brighter object because your eyes registering that immediately, right? When you're looking at the stars, this continues to collect that light. So it's going to pick up stuff that you can't see with the naked eye.
Okay, while I got you here, I would like for you to explain, if you don't mind, what a Flatner is. We got a few seconds here. What a Flatner is and what it does and why you need one with some of these super high-tech backyard Hubbles.
So my thing is with it, look at that there.
Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think I'm going to do that at 45 seconds.
Okay.
And I think that'll get me where I want to be. And that's trying to get away from that moonlight.
Yeah.
And I feel like the jiggle's going to be out. Well, I mean, after I touch it, I want to give it a little bit. Even a good stomp on the ground will shake it up.
That's true.
It's fragile. So we're going to go 45 seconds there and see what happens.
Okay, while we're waiting for the 45-second exposure, explain what a Flatner is, what it does, and where it sits inside the unit.
Okay, so this one, I've got it actually connected to the end of the camera, then it's connected to the telescope, and pretty much what it does is if I'm out there with a 35mm camera, or just, a lens I got off eBay or Amazon, whatever, when I'm taking these pictures, you know, you may move a little bit here and there and this and that, and which that gets into the stacking later, but whenever you're dealing with that outer edge of your picture, 51 seconds, the outer edge of your picture, the stars can look a little funny.
So they're kind of like distorted or fuzzy?
Yeah, kind of.
Or does the whole thing kind of look like it's got a wave in it?
There's several different things that could happen. Which isn't a huge deal if you keep your target centered, because you could crop it out. But this really prevents it to where I get the complete whole picture of where I'm at. So that way when I stack them, I pick about how many stars I want it to pick up for stacking, and it'll line all them pictures up and collect all that data and put it together. And so the whole idea is that stuff I didn't get from this picture, I get from the next one.
Are there different flatteners? Oh man, that's nice. Are there different companies that make flatteners? Wow.
Yeah, they've got
and are they, I mean, does like Williams Optics make their own flattener?
Several different kinds out there.
Man, it's looking good. Can I put that in there like that? Yep.
Yeah. And I can, you could zoom in.
Now we need something to shoot right across the front while we're looking at it, which has happened before.
So I went to 51 seconds, and that turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
And I know that whenever I go to stack them, it's going to get more data. So I'll take several pictures and
then stack
them together. Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you using a flattener tonight?
I am.
Okay. Would you use a flattener if you were just messing with stuff right in the center of the scope of the lens? Can you get by without one, I guess is what I'm asking.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
And how much do they cost?
I don't know. I think this one was a couple $100, $225 maybe, something like that.
So if you accidentally slip up and put it in backwards, what does it do?
It only goes in one way. This equipment's precise. I mean, I don't know that you could get a fishing line in there without cutting it on those threads. I mean, there's no shake, there's nothing loose, everything's tight. Everything on the whole entire system's top quality. There's no plastic, it's all metal. There's nothing cheap about it.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Everything about it is the quality. Couldn't complain. I mean,
yep. There she goes.
To be able to get pictures on that with a full moon behind you,
that's pretty damn good.
You can't beat that. So we're gonna go for another one. I'll take several of these pictures, and then I'll put the cover on, and then I'll take several pictures. If I take
what do you mean put the cover on?
I'll put the cap on it.
The cap on to refocus it, or?
Well, I'll take the pictures completely black.
And what then? So that's for the software?
Well, I stack those black pictures, and what I do with them is I stack the black pictures, I stack these on top of them, and that helps drown out any additional noise.
Okay.
And it also, that kind of glow, it helps kind of suck all that in.
It'll highlight it in?
And basically what I'm doing is trying in the most natural way possible to eliminate that light.
Okay.
That natural light.
Okay. It's all very interesting.
So there's a scope on the end of that, which we're in the middle of a photo, so we definitely don't want to touch that. But anyway, there's a scope on the end of it that goes all the way through that star tracker. And it's looking up there at Polaris, the North Star. And
it's looking at that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's this middle part here?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a scope in there. And
can you hold your little flasher up there kind of just kind of point it to there to give it a little bit of light. That's it right there.
Yeah. So I've got everything
that's it
set.
right there, yeah.
And I could adjust that any way I want to adjust it. There's an adjustment everywhere for it. Same deal, it's all metal.
And that right there is all set up for Polaris.
Yeah, I've got it set up, and there's a polar clock in there. I've got it set perfect on there.
Okay.
So I could take a 5-minute photo and my stars won't move because I'm moving with them.
Okay. That's smart. That's some smart stuff.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so it makes for a good photo. That's how I could take that picture and those stars don't move, see?
Yep. Let me get you another shot of that guy there.
And how you know is once you hit 7 seconds, you can take a picture for 7 seconds without star trailing. You're going to start to see it at 8 seconds.
8 seconds is when you already get that blur move.
So if you stabilize your camera somewhere and take the picture where you don't have to hold it, that's key. Get another one.
All right, good deal.
Looks like some of my neighbors are out for a spin. Beautiful evening. And I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. I've worked up with Jeremy on several projects, and quite an enjoyable guy to work with. I felt like I had to get his knowledge down some way, somehow, and share it, because he put so much research into that, and there, like I say, there's not too many people doing it, and especially like he's doing it. And now, that was part 1. There is going to be a part 2. So, I hope you enjoy that. Just going to get a little bit more in depth concerning the movements and the alignments. And there's going to be a big surprise in there. There is a big surprise. So, hopefully you'll be able to check that out. Thank you very much. Peace out, brothers and sisters. Check out part 2.